What if there was a speed equivalent of Life Orb in competitive singles Pokemon? Instead of getting a 30% power boost in exchange for your health, you get a 30% speed boost. Speed is the most important stat in Pokemon. 1 point of speed can decide whether you win the match or lose it, so how would a speed orb change the metagame? And if you want to participate in Theorymon Thursday, make sure to subscribe and wait for the weekly community post. The comments with the most likes on the community post will get their ideas talked about in the video. But first, a word from our sponsor. This video is sponsored by Opera GX Gaming Browser. The Opera GX Gaming Browser is the best browser for gaming, and one of the reasons is because of the GX Control feature it has. Using GX Control, you can limit the amount of RAM and CPU your browser uses, which increases performance and reduces lag. You can also limit the amount of bandwidth your network uses as well. This is useful during something like streaming. You can decrease lag and increase performance by using the Opera GX Gaming Browser. You can keep all your integrations like Discord, Twitter, WhatsApp, or even Twitch all on the sidebar of the app. You can also use their player to integrate YouTube Music, Spotify, or Apple Music all on the left sidebar. This lets you keep all your favorite streaming services in one place. Whenever you start streaming video or audio in your browser tabs, the player automatically pauses and then automatically resumes once the tab is finished. But that's not all. Opera GX Gaming also has a mobile browser now which can be connected to your desktop app. If you're interested, use the download link in the description below to download the gaming browser for you for free. Join the millions of gamers optimizing their setups with the Opera GX Gaming Browser. The first thing to consider is a very small detail about implementation. Do you only get the recoil damage on attacking moves? For Life Orb, that implementation makes sense. You only pay for the power increase when you attack. But speed is different because you still use the benefit of speed even when you're not attacking. For example, you could take advantage of the speed to roost before your opponent can KO you. You could also use a fast Calm Mind so that you can tank a hit. Most Pokemon would definitely hate damage every single turn, even if there was a speed boost. For example, most sweeper Pokemon would definitely not opt into damage every turn, even to improve the most valuable stat in the game. A sweeper Pokemon would not only have to take damage while setting up, but a consistent damage every turn jeopardizes the sweep completely. On the other hand, recoil only on an attacking move could be overpowered. Speed is very important. In this situation, you gain a 1.3 times boost at no cost if you're not attacking, and once you're ready to attack, it could be too late for the opponent. The mind games would also be tough. Imagine seeing a threatening sweeper staring at you, but you don't even know if your Pokemon outspeeded or not. An alternative could be a compromise where there would be damage every turn, but that damage is reduced to something like 5% instead of 10%. The details of implementation is both the most important part and the most unclear. So let me know down in the comments below how you would actually implement the speed orb and the details of it. When you invest in speed, it's useful to know the benchmarks you have to outspeed. In the case of competitive singles, the benchmark to outspeed would be Dragapult, and to a lesser extent Zeraora, the two fastest relevant Pokemon. Obviously, this benchmark is dependent on the tier you're playing. For example, in the RU tier, you would instead worry about outspeeding Crobat and Noivern. For Choice Scarf Pokemon, you need to be base 80 speed, where you conveniently outspeed Zeraora by 3 points. This is why something like Tapu Fini, with its base 85 speed, is a good Choice Scarf Pokemon. Even though it's not very strong, it outspeeds the right threats and still has utility options like Trick. In the case of the Speed Orb, the new benchmark would be base 100 speed. Only a Pokemon with a base speed of 100 or above can outspeed Zeraora. This is a big step up from base 80. For example, top threats like Urshifu Rapid or Tapu Lele would not be very good Speed Orb users because they cannot outspeed Dragapult. Those two Pokemon in particular would have loved a Speed Orb because they are already so strong and have access to Bulk Up and Calm Mind respectively. Fortunately, for whatever reason, base 100 is itself a relatively crowded region, so you do have other options for a Speed Orb Pokemon. There's also another alternative approach. What if you apply a Speed Orb to a bulky Pokemon with no intention of outspeeding the fast threats, but only the intention of outspeeding the mid-speed threats? For example, at one point in Generation 7 UU, it was not uncommon for Scizor to use a Choice Scarf despite being a very slow Pokemon. This was because it was just fast enough to surprise Cobalion with a superpower and hit Starmie with a U-turn. A similar idea could be used for slower Pokemon here. For example, a slower Pokemon could use a Speed Orb to outspeed potential taunt Pokemon. This would be especially good if the Speed Orb only causes damage on attacking moves. The biggest winners of a Speed Orb item would be Beast Boost Pokemon like Kartana and Blacephalon. These lopsided Pokemon have insane power and can boost this power infinitely. However, their fatal flaw is that in most cases they cannot boost speed. All the power in the world doesn't mean anything if you just get outsped and KO'd. To fix this, Kartana and Blacephalon often use a Choice Scarf. However, this has its own problems too. Grass is unfortunately not a very good offensive type and is generally something that you don't want to be locked into. Kartana's Steel-type move Smart Strike has a low base power too. Oftentimes you can play around a Choice Scarf Kartana based on what moves it locks itself into. Similarly, Pokemon like Flashfire or Heatran give Choice Scarf Blacephalon a lot of trouble. People sometimes take extreme measures to try and fix it. For example, you can use a Swords Dance Kartana with 19 attack EVs and a timid nature. That way you can use Swords Dance and get a speed boost from Beast Boost. Now you have the power of Swords Dance, the speed of Beast Boost, and the ability to switch moves. Calm Mind Blacephalon can also be EV'd to boost speed. These sets are gimmicky and don't always work. Overall, they are unreliable. A Speed Orb would fix that. Now you can use Swords Dance Kartana or Nasty Plot Blacephalon and still outspeed the opponent's entire team. All the while, Beast Boost is still boosting your special attack or attack. Hydreigon has a very cruel fate. At base 98 speed, it would speed tie with Dragapult, otherwise it could have been a very interesting sweeper with Nasty Plot and Roost, with the Speed Orb letting it outspeed Pokemon like Weavile or Tapu Koko. Moxie is naturally a good option as well. Scrafty is an interesting Pokemon from the lower tiers. It has Moxie, which is great for sweeping, but unfortunately it's oftentimes too naturally slow. Even with Dragon Dance, many Pokemon can outspeed it. Speed Orb would fix this issue and synergizes well with Moxie. Moxie Crocodile could be interesting as well. It doesn't meet the speed benchmarks it would need for OU, but it would be interesting in lower tiers because one of the main problems of Choice Scarf Moxie Crocodile is being locked into unfavorable moves. Earthquake, while strong, has a lot of immunities, and Knockoff becomes weak versus Pokemon that have already been knocked off. Similarly, Heracross doesn't meet the speed benchmark but has Moxie and good moves like Close Combat, Knockoff, Mega Horn, and Stone Edge. Other Moxie Pokemon like Gyarados or Salamence don't really benefit too much from Speed Orb. Gyarados and Salamence would miss out on heavy duty boots, and it doesn't really need a Speed Orb because Dragon Dance already gives enough speed. Gyarados is bulky enough that it doesn't need the immediate speed to try and sweep a team, it can go for a Dragon Dance. Magic Guard Pokemon also come to mind. Reuniclus is way too slow to use it effectively, but other Magic Guard Pokemon could be interesting. You could use an offensive Calm Mind Speed Orb Clefable to outspeed mid-tier Pokemon, or a similar Calm Mind Speed Orb Sigilus in lower tiers. Alakazam is tricky because it's quite fast, but just slower than Weavile, one of the top Pokemon. It's in an awkward position where it's fast enough to not really benefit too much from Speed Orb, but also slow enough that it almost needs it. Besides Pokemon that have an inherent advantage with their ability, raw SD users or Nasty Plot users could also see a big benefit. For example, Swords Dance Garchomp is a monster but often needs to also get a Scale Shot off in order to be a threat. Using an item to remove that need could be a big difference. Similarly, Pokemon like Swords Dance Terrakion or Nasty Plot Gengar, who don't have speed boosting moves, would benefit from a Speed Orb because they're already so powerful. One drawback is that Choice Scarf will still always outspeed Speed Orb. That means you can never truly create an unstoppable sweeper. Choice Scarf would still be good in a Speed Orb metagame for this reason. It's a guaranteed to outspeed item. Overall, the Speed Orb would definitely be an interesting addition to the competitive metagame, but it would also be very contingent on the exact implementation of how it works. Did I miss any Pokemon that would be good with the Speed Orb? Let me know down in the comments below.